Hunka hunka burning love. Oh God, you said don't do any homework. I had 3 glasses of wine. I understand it's exactly perfect. The people that walked into the trade centers are perfect. The people that go and take AIDS tests, it's perfect. However, and maybe it's just my desire, and I don't really care because I want the whole system to collapse anyway, because out of that will bring new flowers. But how do we, as these healers, tweak the machine so these people that are disconnected in this whole matrix of things, not individual, not self-perpetuating, but in this thing, how do we turn them on? Does that make sense?
It does, but we're happy to hear you express a little further the basis of your question, because your premise is that something in the machinery needs to be tweaked so that more people can be positively affected. And from our perspective, the machinery is perfect. We do not see the world as broken. We see individuals not aware of their own guidance. But the thing that we really want to impress on you today, and we think you're here and up for it and ready to hear it, is that while we are all one, yes we are one stream of consciousness focused with many different intentions from many different perspectives. When you get it, that there is this vibrational relationship between any point of consciousness and the true source of that point of consciousness, and to the degree that that point of consciousness can feel its alignment with that source, to that degree we do become one mind. But do not miss the point of all of this. Source, or all that is, does not want the collective consciousness to come back to one point of perspective or to one intention. It is a wonderful thing to hold a myriad of intentions, which is necessary in an environment where there is a myriad of contrasting experiences. So when any individual like yourself reaches for your personal alignment and can feel it come into alignment, now you have joined the one, now you have joined the power, now you have joined the collective force or source of well-being, and now you are providing for yourself that alignment, but you cannot provide that alignment for anyone else. Everyone else has their own individual guidance. You talked about how maybe it's unconscious. Maybe there are people that at an unconscious level are separated from their guidance. But we say nothing's really happening at that unconscious level, because if it is really inactive, then it is not part of your point of attraction. And if it is active, if something that matters to you is active in a contrasting way, you feel negative emotion. If something that matters to you is active within you in a beneficial, aligning way, you feel positive emotion. And if you're not feeling any emotion, then it's not active enough that it's a big player anyway. So unconscious things aren't happening to people. And if contrast is happening, all it's doing, it just makes a bigger mess of it, which makes you more consciously aware that there's something that you want to be different. In other words, it does not matter. The further from where you want to be you are, the stronger the rocket of desire you launch about where you want to be. And so you're saying, how can we get together and in a more effective way help more people realize the power of who they are and realize the clarity of who we are? And we say, through the clarity of your example, that's the way you teach it. And the thing that we so much want you frustrated teachers to hear is that if somebody is vibrating here on the emotional scale and you're vibrating here on the emotional scale, they cannot hear you. But out there somewhere is a teacher that's vibrating closer to where they are. And once they make that jump, there'll be a teacher who's vibrating closer to where they are. And once they make that jump, there's a teacher that's vibrating closer to where they are. And let's not any of us count one vibrational teacher as more beneficial than another, because everybody is where they are. That's why we say, make peace with where you are and let this journey, let your work be about aligning the vibration within you. And when you do, things straighten up for you right away. And people who are then ready for you find their way to you. And then you can say, well, let me tell you what I've come to know. I didn't always consciously know this, but I'm realizing that the better I feel, the better things go for me. And there were a lot of things that happened that I used to carry around like a badge of honor. They used to talk about and activate that I don't activate anymore, because I don't want to keep bringing them into my experience. It's reaching the point where when you say you create your own reality, many people are agreeing, even though their next question is, well, if that's so, how do I do it? And when people are ready to understand that they do it, and they want to know how, then they're ready for the likes of you. But until then, the likes of you just irritates them, and you can't dabble in their experience. We know, we could feel it happening when we began talking with this fellow about how he could improve somebody else's game. We know that there are two things that happen. The first thing that happens, it makes you feel powerless because there are a lot of games you'd like to dabble in. In other words, there are a lot of people who you would like to positively influence in one way or another. And the other thing that happens is it makes you feel a little vulnerable that somebody else might have the ability to dabble in your game. In other words, what if somebody who thinks that warts on the end of people's noses is particularly attractive would wish one on the end of my nose? And what if they had the power to focus it there until it showed up? And we say, nobody can create anybody else's experience. All you can do is shine a spotlight on something they already want and then make the trail to what they are wanting easier for them to find it. But you cannot create in someone else's reality.
However, I'm just going to throw this out because this is one question I asked. Then it gets into what is the truth? And who are the powers that are manipulating the 95% who are unconscious? My healer friend says 80%.
But here is the thing. Everything is true. Sometimes people will say, Abraham, I need to focus on this. It's true. And we say, so you're looking at this truth that you don't want, and you're saying somebody else focused on it and activated in their vibration long enough that it became a dominant enough point of their point of attraction that it manifested in their experience. And because they have manifested this unwanted thing, and it is true, it's documented, then I should do it too. And we say, that's really silly. What you want to do is realize that there are true things that you want to create in your experience, true things that you don't, but you want to let the criteria for your willingness to focus upon it be how it feels when you focus upon it. Is this perspective that I hold compatible with the perspective of my inner being? Every subject is really two subjects. There is what is wanted and absence of it. And you can tell by the way you feel which end of the stick you are vibrating near. And what we want you to hear is that your inner being and your source is always vibrating on the good feeling end of every stick. Your source wants and expects and knows your well-being. So when you get apart from that vibration, you cause a vibrational separation between you and your source. And everybody else is doing the same thing. We do not agree with the premise that 95% of the population is being manipulated by someone else. We don't agree that any percentage of the population is manipulated by somebody else, because we don't agree that anybody else can vibrate for you. We do acknowledge that there are vibrational influences, and we also acknowledge that the majority of people offer the majority of their vibration in response to what they're observing. So therefore, we acknowledge that the platform on which you are standing is a very strong influential point, which is the same thing as saying most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they're observing.